There is a quiet kind of beauty that doesn't come from trying, from performing, or from endlessly polishing the surface so the world approves. It's the beauty that belongs to the girl you once were before the world told you how to behave, how to look, how to speak, and who to be. Carl Jung understood this. He believed that so much of our power as women is buried under the roles, the masks, the identities we put on to survive in a world that rewards appearance but forgets the soul. You were not born chasing femininity. You were born carrying it. You did not need to study how to be magnetic, you simply were. Your laughter was full, your curiosity open, your eyes unguarded. You loved without calculation, you moved without fear of judgment, you existed without comparing yourself to another. And then, little by little, the noise of the world began to pull you away from her. We start to think femininity is something we have to earn, something we have to manufacture with enough makeup, enough graceful poses, enough rules about what a desirable woman should be. But what if that is not the truth? What if you never lost it? You just stopped listening to the girl who had it all along. Jung spoke of individuation, the process of returning to the wholeness of the self, of bringing back the parts of you that were left behind because you thought they didn't fit. That includes the girl within, the one who felt alive without the weight of needing to be approved of. The woman who lives in peace with her femininity is not chasing it. She has simply remembered it. The truth is, the girl within you never stopped existing. She didn't disappear, she simply became quiet when the world's voices grew loud. She is still there, in the way your heart quickens when you see something beautiful, in the way your body relaxes when you feel safe, in the way your mind drifts toward daydreams that no one else knows about. She is there in your gentleness, in your laughter, in the way you once believed that life was full of possibility. But over time, you were taught to trade her wonder for caution, her openness for guardedness, her joy for performance. You learned to wear the mask of the put together woman, and somewhere in that process, you began to believe that femininity was something separate from who you really are. Carl Jung spoke about the shadow, the hidden parts of ourselves that we deny or abandon because we believe they are not acceptable to others. For many women, the girl within becomes part of that shadow. We tuck her away because she feels too vulnerable, too naive, too unpolished for the world we live in. We tell ourselves that if we let her out, people will not take us seriously, they will not respect us, they will not love us in the ways we desire. But in hiding her, we also hide the most natural, effortless expression of our femininity. We hide the light that draws the right people into our lives, not because we are trying to attract them, but because our presence feels alive, whole, and real. You see, chasing femininity is exhausting because it keeps you in a state of constant self-surveillance. You begin to question every movement, every word, every reaction. You study yourself from the outside instead of living from the inside. You are always on, always aware of how you are being perceived, always trying to hold a version of yourself together that you think others will admire. But this is not the energy of a woman who is truly magnetic. A woman who is magnetic is not performing her femininity. She is living it without thinking about it. She doesn't need to ask, "Am I being feminine enough?" because she is not measuring herself against some external checklist. She is simply being. When you return to the girl within, you return to the source. The girl within does not chase. She does not compete. She does not wonder whether she's good enough. She simply moves through life in her own rhythm, and in doing so, she draws the right things toward her. Men feel it. Friends feel it. The world feels it. And the irony is, the less you try to be feminine, the more naturally feminine you appear, because what people respond to is not a performance, but an energy that is real. The woman who lives from her girl within laughs more easily. She rests more deeply. She plays. She wears her clothes because she likes them, not because she's trying to prove anything. She speaks in a way that feels true to her, not in a way that mimics someone else's idea of charm. She doesn't hide her softness out of fear it will be mistaken for weakness, because she knows it is her softness that gives her strength. Jung understood this balance, the union of opposites, the integration of the tender and the powerful. When you live from the girl within, you carry both. And perhaps most importantly, when you return to her, you stop chasing people, situations, and outcomes. You stop believing that your value depends on how much attention you can hold or how many compliments you can collect. You begin to realize that the people who are meant for you will not be confused by your presence. They will be drawn to it. You no longer need to over-explain yourself, over-prove yourself, or over-give to be chosen. The right people will feel the truth of you without you having to push it into their awareness. This is the power of a woman who is connected to the girl she once was. Because that girl, the one before the world told you to be smaller, quieter, or prettier in a certain way, was already whole. She didn't need permission to take up space, to feel her feelings, to enjoy her body, to be seen. And deep down, she still doesn't. The girl within you is not asking you to change who you are now. She is not asking you to go backward in time or undo all the wisdom and strength you've gained through your journey. She is asking you to make space for her again. She is asking you to remember how it felt to wake up and see the world as a place of wonder instead of a battlefield. She is asking you to soften, not in a way that makes you weak, but in a way that makes you whole. Carl Jung would say that true growth comes from integration, not from rejection. This means you do not have to reject the woman you have become in order to reclaim the girl you once were. You simply have to bring her back into the room, to let her voice be heard alongside the voice of your adult self. Because the truth is, she knows things you've forgotten. She knows how to live without constantly calculating. She knows how to follow her curiosity without fear of looking foolish. She knows how to trust her own feelings before she looks to others for approval. When you are connected to her, your energy changes. You begin to notice that the tension in your body softens. Your eyes light up in ways they haven't in years. Your words flow more easily because you are speaking from a place that doesn't need to be perfect. People sense this shift. They may not know how to explain it, but they feel it in the way they relax around you, the way they open up, the way they are drawn into your orbit without you having to pull them there. This is what happens when you stop chasing femininity and start embodying it. The girl within you is not working to be seen. She is already seen by herself. And when you see yourself fully, you stop needing others to constantly affirm that you are enough. This is when your presence becomes magnetic. Not because you are following a script or a set of rules, but because you are radiating from a place of truth. Jung often spoke about the anima, the feminine aspect within all of us, even within men. In women, the anima is often closest to the surface when we are young, before the demands of the outer world begin to harden us. Over time, many women begin to over-identify with masculine traits, action, control, logic, because these are the qualities most rewarded in our culture. There is nothing wrong with these traits. In fact, they are essential. But when they take over completely, the softer, more fluid, more intuitive aspects of the feminine self get pushed aside. The girl within you is the bridge back to those qualities. She reminds you that strength and softness can live in the same body. She reminds you that beauty is not a standard you meet, but a way of being that comes from alignment. She reminds you that play is not a luxury, but a form of nourishment. And when you live this way, you naturally draw people who are aligned with your true essence, not just with the mask you've been wearing. Imagine walking into a room without trying to prove anything. Imagine laughing without wondering how you look while you do it. Imagine loving without keeping score. Imagine resting without feeling guilty. This is the life the girl within is calling you back to. And the irony is, when you live from this place, the world often sees you as even more feminine, even more radiant, even more desirable, because you are not chasing those things. You are embodying them without effort, and this is where the magic happens. When you are no longer trying to be chosen, you become impossible to ignore. When you are no longer trying to be understood, the right people understand you deeply. When you are no longer trying to be feminine, your femininity becomes undeniable. It's not something you wear like a costume. It's something that lives in your eyes, in your tone, in the way you move through space. The girl within you is not gone. She is waiting. She is patient. She is watching for the moment when you finally get tired of performing, of proving, of perfecting, and decide to come home to her. And when you do, she will meet you with open arms. She will remind you that you were never meant to chase anything. Not love, not approval, not femininity itself. You were meant to live so fully in your truth that what is meant for you has no choice but to find you. And when you return to her, to that unshaken, unpretending version of yourself, something inside you shifts in a way that cannot be forced or faked. You no longer feel that desperate pull to keep up with everyone else, because you are no longer in the race. You are walking at your own pace, in your own lane, guided by your own rhythm. The girl within you has always known how to move this way. She never rushed to prove she was worthy, because in her world, worth was never something that needed to be earned. It simply was. You had it. You still have it. Carl Jung often said that the most powerful transformation happens when we stop living only for the outer world and begin living for the inner one. The girl within is rooted in that inner world. She is the part of you who listens more than she speaks, who notices the smallest details, who can get lost in the way light hits a window or the sound of laughter drifting in from another room. She is not concerned with how she looks while she is living. She is simply living, and in that pure state, she radiates something the outer world cannot manufacture: authenticity. When you chase femininity, you are always a step behind it, always trying to catch something you believe is outside of you. But when you return to the girl within, you realize it was never outside. It has been flowing through you the whole time, waiting for you to stop running long enough to feel it. Chasing creates tension in your body. Your shoulders stay tight, your breath shallow, your energy restless. Embodying creates ease. Your shoulders drop, your breath deepens, your presence expands. People don't always know what has changed, but they feel it when you walk into the room. You feel it too, and the feeling is freedom. This is why Jung's concept of individuation is so powerful. It's not about becoming someone new. It's about becoming more of who you truly are. The woman who integrates the girl within is not childish. She is not naive. She is whole. She can stand in her boundaries with strength and still offer kindness. She can lead and still allow herself to be cared for. She can be sensual without performing. She can be loving without losing herself. And when a woman lives from this place, she no longer begs for love. Love moves toward her. She no longer fears being overlooked. She knows that what is meant for her cannot miss her. She no longer wonders if she is enough. She knows she always has been. This is the quiet confidence that men feel but cannot quite name. It's the reason why some women can walk into a room without saying a word and yet shift the entire atmosphere. It's not the dress. It's not the makeup. It's not the perfect hair. It's the energy of someone who has stopped chasing and started being. The girl within does not keep score. She is not tallying up how much she has given versus how much she has received. She gives because it feels right. She receives because she believes she deserves to. She plays because it brings her joy, not because it earns her points. This natural generosity, this unforced warmth, is deeply feminine, and yet it is never weak because it is grounded in self-respect. She is soft, but she is not a doormat. She is open, but she is not reckless. She is loving, but she is not desperate. And maybe that is the deepest truth Jung's work can remind us of. Femininity is not a mask we wear to be chosen. It is the essence that rises when we take all masks off. The girl within is your unmasked self. She's the part of you that can sit in silence without needing to fill it, that can meet someone's gaze without looking away in fear, that can be alone without feeling lonely. She's the part of you that trusts life enough to meet it as it is, without constant pushing, proving, or pretending. When you live from this place, your relationships change. The people who only wanted the performance will fall away. The ones who can meet your truth will stay. You will notice that you attract not just attention, but devotion, not just interest, but depth. And you will know it's because you are finally offering the world something real. Yourself. The girl within you is waiting. She is not lost. She has been here all along, quietly holding the pieces of you that you thought you had to give up. And the moment you choose to listen to her, to let her breathe, to let her move through you again, is the moment you stop chasing what you already are. The girl within you does not speak loudly, and that is why so many women overlook her. She whispers. She speaks in feelings rather than in words. She shows herself in fleeting moments. When you laugh so hard your guard slips. When you let your hair down without thinking about whether it looks perfect. When you lose track of time doing something that has no practical purpose other than joy. She is there when you hum to yourself in the kitchen. When you walk barefoot on the grass. When you let your face tilt toward the sun without worrying about the expression you're making. She is there in the unplanned, the unpolished, the unperformed moments of your life. And yet, somewhere along the way, you learn to hide her. You learn that the world rewarded the version of you who was controlled, careful, and consistent, who followed the rules, who stayed in line, who didn't make too much noise. You learned to measure yourself against the expectations of others, to seek permission before following your own impulses, to polish away the edges that made you different. And while these strategies may have helped you survive, they also distanced you from the natural radiance you once carried without effort. Carl Jung would call this process a kind of psychic splitting. You create a public self, the one who knows how to function in society, who wears the mask that gets approval, and a private self who remains hidden in the shadows. For many women, that hidden self is the girl they used to be before life taught them to be appropriate. She carries your spontaneity, your softness, your sensuality, your wonder, your intuition. But because she does not fit the script of what the world says you should be, you place her in the shadow. The problem is, the shadow does not disappear just because you've hidden it. It waits. It waits for moments of exhaustion when you can no longer hold up the mask. It waits for moments of longing, when you feel a deep ache for something you can't name. It waits for moments of honesty, when you admit to yourself that no amount of chasing, whether it's chasing beauty, chasing love, chasing approval, has truly filled you. That ache you feel, that's her calling you back. When you answer that call, something powerful begins to happen. You realize that you don't have to keep up with every trend, every rule, every social performance in order to be attractive, to be magnetic, to be feminine. You realize that the most feminine energy you can carry is the energy of a woman who is fully herself, without apology, without over-explanation, without pretending to be someone else's idea of the perfect woman. The girl within knows this instinctively. She doesn't care if she laughs too loudly, or if her hair gets messy in the wind, or if her dress is slightly wrinkled because she's been sitting on the grass. She doesn't waste time wondering if she is doing it right. She moves through life in a way that feels good to her, and in doing so, she naturally attracts the kind of attention that no performance can replicate. Men feel it. Women feel it. People may not know exactly why they are drawn to her, but they feel the ease in her presence. Jung understood that wholeness comes from embracing all parts of yourself, not just the parts that the world praises. This means that reclaiming the girl within is not about becoming childish or naive. It's about bringing her lightness, her playfulness, and her truth into the woman you are now. It's about letting her sit at the same table as your wisdom, your boundaries, and your experience. When the two meet, you become something rare, a woman who is both grounded and free. This balance is deeply attractive, not in the superficial sense of being pretty or desirable, but in the way your energy pulls people in without effort. A woman who embodies both the strength of her adult self and the softness of her inner girl is magnetic because she offers something the world craves but rarely sees: authenticity without fear. She doesn't need to perform her femininity because she is her femininity. She doesn't need to strategize how to get attention because her very presence commands it in a quiet, undeniable way. When you reconnect with her, you begin to notice changes in how you feel in your own body. Your movements slow down, not in laziness, but in intention. You stop rushing through life as if it's a checklist to complete. You start savoring things again. Your voice softens. Not because you're trying to sound a certain way, but because you're speaking from a place of ease. Your laughter comes more freely. Your eyes stay open longer in conversation. Your touch becomes more deliberate. You become present, and presence is the most powerful form of beauty there is. The world will still try to pull you back into chasing. It will tell you that you need to do more, achieve more, buy more, change more, in order to keep up. But the girl within knows the truth. What is real does not need to be chased. Love, friendship, opportunities, they flow toward a woman who is rooted in her own truth. Chasing puts you in a position of lack. Embodying puts you in a position of abundance. And people can feel the difference instantly. You may wonder, will this make me lose people? The answer is yes. You will lose the people who only wanted the mask. You will lose the people who were drawn to the performance but not the person. And as painful as that can be, it is a gift. Because in their place, you will draw people who are drawn to your essence, who see the girl within and the woman you have become, and who value both. This is the deeper truth Jung's work points us toward. When you integrate the parts of yourself you have hidden, you stop living in fragments. You stop offering the world half of yourself. You stop dimming your light to fit in. And in that wholeness, your femininity becomes effortless. Not because you learned a set of rules, but because you remembered who you are. And when you live from that place, you no longer need to prove your worth. You no longer need to fight for attention. You no longer need to exhaust yourself in the chase. You simply are, and that is more than enough. And when you begin to live in this way, when you allow the girl within to take your hand and walk beside you again, you notice how much lighter life feels. You notice the way you start to breathe deeper without even thinking about it. You notice how the smallest things, a passing smile, the smell of fresh rain, the warmth of morning light, begin to stir something inside you again. That stirring is not new. It has been there since the beginning. You simply buried it under years of trying to be the woman the world told you to be. The girl within does not ask you to abandon your responsibilities or pretend you are still living in another time. She asks you to bring her spirit into the present. She asks you to let her curiosity guide you again, to let her laughter rise without warning, to let her trust come through when it feels right. She asks you to stop holding yourself so tightly in the name of control, and instead to loosen your grip so that life can surprise you. Carl Jung would say that when we reconnect with these hidden parts of ourselves, we enter into a process of integration that restores our energy. And it's true, because performing drains you, chasing drains you, proving drains you. But being who you truly are is energizing. You no longer have to spend hours wondering how you are being perceived, or replaying conversations in your head, or forcing your body into postures that feel unnatural just to appear feminine. You simply exist, and in that existence, you radiate something no one else can copy, because it is entirely yours. The world often confuses femininity with decoration, with looking a certain way, speaking a certain way, moving a certain way. But the girl within knows that femininity is not a performance. It's a frequency. It's the way your presence makes others feel without you even trying. It's the calm in your energy, the warmth in your smile, the openness in your gaze, the way you can be both gentle and firm without contradiction. These things cannot be manufactured by following a checklist. They rise naturally when you stop chasing an image and start living in truth. When you return to the girl within, your relationships shift. You stop competing for love because you understand that love is not a prize you have to win. You stop fearing that you'll be left behind because you know that what is meant for you will stay without force. You stop feeling the urge to manipulate situations to be chosen because you trust that you are already enough. This trust doesn't make you passive, it makes you powerful. It keeps you from wasting energy on proving yourself to those who cannot see you, and it frees you to offer your whole self to those who can. And here's something else that happens when you live from this place: you begin to inspire without trying. The woman who has stopped chasing and has started embodying is a quiet but undeniable force. People watch you not because you are putting on a show, but because they feel something in you that they long for in themselves: ease, presence, self-acceptance. They see that you are not rushing, yet life still comes to you. They see that you are not begging, yet you are still loved. They see that you are not chasing femininity, yet you are one of the most feminine women they've ever met. This is not magic. It is alignment. It is the natural result of letting go of what was never really you and returning to what always has been. The girl within has been waiting to give you this gift. She has been patient through the years you thought you had to harden yourself, through the times you thought you had to become someone else to be enough. She has been holding on to your softness, your joy, your wonder, your playfulness, your openness, waiting for the moment when you would realize that these are not weaknesses to be hidden, but strengths to be cherished. The woman who integrates the girl within is not just attractive in the surface sense. She is unforgettable. She leaves an imprint, not because she tries to, but because her presence is rare in a world full of performance. She does not need to demand attention. Attention finds her. She does not need to convince anyone of her worth. Her worth is felt in the way she moves, the way she speaks, the way she simply exists. Jung believed that when we become whole, we become free. And freedom is the most attractive quality there is. Not the kind of freedom that means you are detached from life, but the kind of freedom that means you are deeply connected to yourself. When you are free in this way, you are not swayed by every opinion, you are not unsettled by every shift, you are not desperate for every hand to reach for you. You walk in your truth, and in doing so, you give silent permission for others to walk in theirs. The girl within you has always been the key to this freedom. She is not a distant memory you must mourn. She is here, now, waiting for you to notice her again. And the moment you do, the chase ends. Not because you have finally caught what you were after, but because you realize you were carrying it all along. And when you finally stop chasing and start listening, you notice that the girl within you is not fragile the way you once imagined. She is not a delicate thing that must be hidden away for her own safety. She is strong in a different way, a way that does not need to shout or prove. Her strength is in her softness, in her ability to remain open in a world that teaches people to close. Her strength is in her trust that life will meet her halfway, that she does not have to run herself ragged to be worthy of love, of kindness, of joy. Carl Jung understood that we spend much of our adult lives trying to return to the self we abandoned as children. He called it a journey toward wholeness, but the truth is, it feels like a homecoming. When you let the girl within guide you, you begin to see how much of what you've been chasing was never meant to be chased at all. Love that must be begged for is not love. Attention that must be earned through constant performance is not the kind of attention that nourishes you. Approval that requires you to abandon yourself is not worth the cost. The girl within knows this instinctively. She is not afraid to walk away from what feels wrong, even if it sparkles on the surface. She is not afraid to stand still when everyone else is running, because she trusts her own timing. She is not afraid to be overlooked for a moment, because she knows her light cannot stay hidden forever. She is patient in a way that the chasing woman can never be, because she knows she already holds the thing that others are searching for. And when you bring her into your everyday life, your presence begins to change. You walk into a room without scanning it for who might notice you. You stop arranging your body in ways that will please an invisible audience. You stop speaking just to fill the silence, and instead speak when there is truth to share. You let your face relax. You let your voice carry its natural tone. You let yourself be fully seen without the layers of trying. People will notice this even if they can't name it. They will feel it in the way they are drawn to your calm, the way they want to be near you, the way they feel more themselves around you. This is the essence of femininity that no one can teach in a class or sell in a product. It comes from being fully at home in yourself. The irony is that when you stop trying to be feminine, you often embody it more than ever before. True femininity is not about softness for the sake of being liked, or beauty for the sake of being desired. It is about depth, presence, and the ability to receive life as it comes. It is about strength that does not need to dominate, and openness that does not fear being hurt. It is about knowing that your value is not in what you can perform, but in what you are simply by existing. Jung would say that the girl within is part of your psyche's original design. She is not something you grow out of. She is something you grow back into, once you have learned enough to see her value. She is not here to make you reckless or naive. She is here to make you whole. She wants you to remember how to trust your feelings, how to listen to your intuition, how to live in your body instead of only in your head. She wants you to remember how to laugh without restraint, how to rest without guilt, how to love without bargaining away your soul. When you live from this place, you begin to attract experiences and people that feel like home. You are no longer magnetized to chaos, because chaos no longer matches your frequency. You are no longer interested in chasing, because you know that anything that is meant for you will find you, without you having to lose yourself to have it. You become the calm in the storm, and people feel safe in your presence. Not because you are trying to make them feel safe, but because you are safe within yourself. And this is where the real shift happens. The chase ends, the pretending ends, the exhaustion ends. You step into a rhythm that feels natural. One where your energy flows instead of constantly being drained. And in that rhythm, the girl within smiles, because she knows you have finally remembered her. She knows you have finally seen that you were never lacking, never too much, never not enough. You were simply living disconnected from the part of you that held your true power all along. The girl within has been waiting for this moment. She has been waiting for you to stop performing and start living. She has been waiting for you to trust her again. And when you do, you will realize that she is not separate from the woman you are today. She is the very heart of her.